As you might have gauged already from the starting slide as well as from the invitations, we will be covering off 5 must-do features on your online store. And we have a Shopmatic expert who is going to be walking us through it. This is called as the e-commerce education series. We focus on very specifically the things that you can do on and optimize your Shopmatic platform to improve your store, to sell better, to engage better, to operate the business better. That's the objective of it. Like I mentioned, there will be a 15-minute window towards the end of the session. They will be taking all the Q&A. We would sincerely request that you please write all your Q&A in the Q&A icon and not the chat icon, because that way we'll be easily able to go through the queries and address them one by one. It's a bit more harder to manage on chat, so that's a sincere request from our side. So without much further ado, I'm going to hand it over to the Shopmatic expert who will be walking us through the features that you must be having or doing on your Shopmatic store. Take it away.
Thank you, Uma. Firstly, a very warm welcome to one and all present here. Today, we will be learning about how to add more value to our store and basically 5 extremely important features that one must activate on your Shopmatic platform. Well, let's start off with the advantages that we are already aware of an online store. Number 1, for a merchant, for us, but it saves a lot of time and cost in terms of setup. It helps us reach a lot more number of customers from diverse places. At the same time, for our customers as well, it saves a lot of time and cost. And now they have a lot more options to choose from, not only from one website, but multiple websites. So what we need to do is make sure that our customer is more likely to purchase a product from our website. For that, we have to improve the customer experience that they receive. 4 factors that affect the customer experience are: number 1, the amount of trust that he can give our brand or our web store. Secondly, personal touch. It's something like when a sales personnel is with you at an offline store, that is a personal touch because he can immediately answer your queries and guide you through your purchase. Thirdly, we will be talking about how to make the entire purchase experience more convenient for them. And lastly, improving and making our own operations very smooth. Well, this is important because if our internal processes are well managed, it improves the overall service and the website performance. The 5 features that we will be covering are adding a custom domain, linking our social media pages. This will be done in order to build our trust. Next, to improve the purchasing experience, we will activate our chat functionality and the multi-currency functionality. And finally, to improvise our operations, well, we will be talking about the users option, the users function. Now, what exactly is a custom domain? Well, it's the unique brand name that comes in your website when somebody types in your website. So it might end with something like .com, .in, .org, or .net. Let me quickly show you how it looks like on our website. All right, to go to custom domain, all you need to do is head to this option right here, look for setup, go to domain. Well, this is how the page looks like. As you can see, currently the primary domain is pataka.myshopmatic.com. Well, this clearly is identified as a subdomain of myshopmatic. Well, an important thing is that when a customer visits such a website, well, they might feel skeptical because this is a free subdomain, and we don't want them to feel that way. What we want them to feel is that this is a brand which is invested in itself with a long-term perspective, and they can trust our products and brand. And hence something like pataka.com or patakastore.com is something which is a custom domain that can be used. To add a custom domain or to connect a custom domain, all you need to do is head to connect a custom domain. In case you've purchased it via GoDaddy, a service provider, well, you can simply type it here and connect it. In case you've bought it from some other service provider, you can type it here. Well, let's just say we have a custom domain called www.patakastore.com. When we click on connect, we would be redirected to GoDaddy page. where we can log in using our credentials and follow some basic steps to activate it. Likewise, if you've not purchased it from GoDaddy, but some other platform, you might not be redirected, but you can go to their website and follow the same process. Once you're done, you would get a page something like this, which says that you have added a custom domain. Now you can go back to the custom domain settings. You might see here, Pataka, the store has been added successfully to our custom domains list. To change this, you need to go back to primary domain. To change our primary domain, just click on this and you'll find the drop down where you can find Pataka, the store. All you need to do is click here and make sure you save the changes. Now, in case you do not have a custom domain, you can simply buy a custom domain from here. Now, let me again type the same. Okay. When I click on search, it will give me the available options in case the exact domain name is not available. Now, I would like to buy this, so I can simply click on buy, put in my card details, and buy the domain. Once you've bought, this would automatically come here, and you would be able to see it in your custom domains list. Next, again, you can continue the same process of clicking on the drop down and choosing the domain name. With this, we have now successfully set up our domain, a custom domain. Now, the next important thing that we will be talking about is social media, connecting our social media pages to our Shopmatic store. So we would be connecting pages such as Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, and there are many other options available. So the importance of a social media page is that this will help in reinforcing the brand name, because now anybody can click on icons on your website that will redirect them to your respective social media page where they can see your followers, they can continue start following you, or they can start following you, and they can also see the comments of your existing followers, and it helps you build a brand. It brings in more authenticity and also creates an ecosystem for them. Now, how do we connect a social media page? Well, all we need to do is head to this button here, edit site, click on site settings, and go on social media. All you need to do here is just put in the links of your social media pages. For instance, we have Facebook here. This is our Facebook page, so we can just copy it and paste it. Likewise, we can do the same for Instagram. Look for Instagram and paste it here. We can also add a Twitter here. Let's copy it and click on Twitter, paste it here. Make sure you save it. Once you've saved it, you will see that when a customer goes down, he will be able to see these icons that pop up. The Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the ones that we've just connected. So I can show this to you how it would look like on a real web page. Well, this is our web page. Let me just reload it. Now, when a customer goes down, he can see these links here, icons. When I click on Twitter, for instance, he will be redirected to the Twitter page, and similarly for Facebook and Instagram. Now we've learned how to add a social media page to your store. As I mentioned earlier, it also helps you increase your followers on your social media page, because they're prospective customers who come to your web page and are not following you on your social media pages can simply start following you there if they're interested in your products. Another important thing that we will now talk about is to improve the overall purchase experience. We will turn on the chat functionality. Through a chat functionality, one can connect their WhatsApp and Facebook to communicate with the customers directly. This helps in addressing of their queries instantly. Let me show you how to do that. On your page builder, I can go back, click on this button, look for marketing, and click on chat. What you need to do is simply type in your country code, put in your mobile number, and click on save. Once you've saved your WhatsApp number, you can also add your messenger. So for that, here, as you can see, it's going to ask you for a Facebook page ID. How do you add a Facebook page ID? Well, you need to go on Facebook. This is the Facebook page. On the left-hand side, you can scroll down to click on About. Here, when you scroll down, you can find a Facebook page ID. You just have to copy this ID and go back to your store where you can paste it. Once done, you can click on the Save option. Now let me show you how this would look like. Well, on the normal website, you can see on the bottom right, there are two icons, floating icons. One is that of WhatsApp and the other one Messenger. When a customer clicks here, he can immediately ask you about a particular product or whatever her or his queries are, which you can answer. This helps in adding a much more personal touch to your website, something like that at offline stores. Now that we've spoken about chat functionality, let us go ahead and learn to add a multi-currency feature. Now, what exactly is a multi-currency feature? Well, if a merchant in India is trying to sell something to a customer in Singapore, the customer would have to see the prices either in the Indian currency or his local currency. So we have something called a multi-currency feature where the customer in Singapore, he will be able to see the currency, the prices in his local currency. Based on his IP address, the prices would automatically be showed in something like Singaporean dollars. Now, this is an interesting feature and must be turned on because it improves the overall purchase experience for the customer. Next, it does make it more personal since he can see the prices in his own currency. And lastly, it also reduces the skepticism and it reassures him to make the purchase since all the prices are in his own currency. To turn this on, you need to click here, go down to Setup, and find the multi-currency feature. You can see right now it's toggled off. We can simply click on this to toggle it on. The options that you can see are all currencies and a number of other currencies that you can individually select. For now, let us click on all currencies and save it. So you might wonder at what rate does the currency conversion take place or how often does the currency conversion take place? Well, a currency conversion is updated daily based on the open exchange rates. Well, this is a website which is used by many other leading platforms, and we use the same. Once this is turned on, based on the IP address of your customer, the prices will be shown in his respective currency. So with this, we conclude about multi-currency. Now, an important topic for today that we should cover is that of multi-users. Now, what is exactly multi-users? Well, this is extremely helpful when you have a team of users or a team of people who are managing your website. To turn on the multi-currency, you can go back to your Shopmatic store. Click here, go back to Setup, and at the bottom, as you can see, you have users. You just need to click on this, and you will be redirected to this page. This is a page where you can add multiple users who can manage your website for you. For instance, you can see here, there is one admin and another person who is known as the president. You have his role, the employee type, the email ID of that person, his mobile number, and the status. Well, to add a new user, we just have to click on new user. We can quickly type his name, put in his mobile number, and the email ID. For instance, let's just type AN. Right? Make sure that the mobile number or the email ID that you use has not been used on any other Shopmatic web store, because these are the same email ID or the mobile number that he can use to log in to this particular web store. And hence, if it has already been used for some other store, it will automatically not accept. The next thing you can do is either click on the company employee if this person is a company's employee, or if he's an external partner, you can tag him that way. Well, in case he's a freelancer or something that sort. Next, let us choose a role for him. Well, let's say that he is the Chief Operations Officer. And finally, you can grant him permissions. Now, this is where it stands out. Suppose you don't want to give him the options of store builder or the permissions to edit the entire source structure. Well, let's just not take this. We can give him the permissions of operations. We can choose what operations should he have permissions to, and likewise for other permissions. The next thing what you've got to do is simply click on the create option. Once you create on the, well, you can see that the phone number already exists. As I mentioned, it wouldn't accept. So let's quickly change this. Say his number is 12341235. Now let's click on the create button. Now you can see that an email has been sent to Mr. AS, who is the Chief Operations Officer. Well, the status you can see is still pending because Mr. AS will have to go back to his email ID and accept the invitation. Once that's done, it turns to something like this. It turns to active. In case you want to delete Mr. AS, all you have to do is click on AS. And you can see at the bottom over here, it says delete this user. So you can just type on delete this user and type in your password. Click on yes, I want to delete, and it would be deleted. It would look something like this, where it automatically gets deleted. With this, we've learned how to add multiple users. Now, the advantage to a multiple user is that it improves the website's maintenance because different operations can be delegated to different personals. At the same time, it does not compromise on privacy. For instance, you do not want one person to know the details about your customers, but only look into site structuring. Well, he can be given only those permissions, and hence it maintains the privacy of your website. Lastly, of course, having multiple users managing your website, it helps you distribute the workload and it eases and improves the performance of your overall website. Something extremely important to remember is that only an admin can delete or add users. Next, always remember that distinct emails and mobile numbers must be used in this. As I mentioned, as we saw, when we had a mobile number which was already in use, it did not consider that, and we had to change the mobile number. Well, with this, we've already learned the 5 different features that we had to cover for today. These might seem extremely simple, but believe us, these are extremely effective, and we have experienced it ourselves. Now, recently, there was an interesting guidelines that was released by Singapore Enterprise. Well, these guidelines are extremely important for any e-commerce merchant to follow. These are not only important for e-commerce merchants in Singapore, but also for the ones back in other places, like in India. Well, these guidelines highlight the fact that it is very important for a merchant to display his organization details clearly, such as the organization's name, the GST number, their locations, etc. Next, it highlights the fact that the site structure is very important for any customer. It needs to be more uniform. Now, the products that you upload needs to have a parent category and a subcategory so that it is easily identifiable. Next, the entire website should be very clearly understandable for a customer, and the navigation should be very easy. Lastly, it also highlights the fact of clear communication of all your purchase activities, such as your product description, your service description, your payment informations, logistics information such as tracking IDs and other details, and also your policies. Now, this is something that we have always emphasized on. Your policies need to be clear, such as your returns policies, your refunds policies, etc.
All right, thank you so much. For more support, you can always write to us at shopsupport@goshopmatic.com. You can see it up here on the screen, or reach out to our customer consultant, engagement consultants, or via chat, please. We look forward to seeing you again in the next webinar. Thank you so much. We're going to be closing the session now. Take care.